second full week in the year, second Sunday of our series called Origin Story, second day of our walk through the entire Bible for 2020. And I don't know about you, but I'm pretty pumped about it. Last week, we started our series, Origin Story, asking two questions. Where did we come from, and what is our purpose? And our short, simple answers to that were we came from God because God created us, and He created us to give Him praise, to give Him honor, to give Him glory. And our purpose, we learned last week, was to do good works. And from Ephesians chapter 2, verse 10, which said God created us, we are God's handiwork. We were created in Christ Jesus to do good works. We have learned that we came from God to give Him honor and glory and praise, and that our purpose on this earth is to do good works. And for me, last week, I think we had one very, very important statement, and this statement is so important to me, and it just says so much about what God thinks of us. He created us, and so our value to Him is extremely high. God created us, and so our value to Him is extremely high. And I think it's super important for us to remember this. I think it's very important for us to remember God created us, and so because He created us, we have this value. Because when we understand our value, we are less likely to fall into the traps and pitfalls and things in this world, because we know that we are worth more than those things. We know that we are more valuable than the things that would trip us up. And so understanding and knowing that our value is extremely high, we are more likely to live lives of peace and hope and joy than we are if we don't know our value and then dive into the traps and pitfalls in this life. When we know our value, we know that we do not need to settle for anything less than what God has for us. So we answered the questions, where did I come from, what is my purpose? And today I want to ask a third origin story question, a very simple question. Who am I? Who am I? I don't know if anybody is a Jackie Chan fan. Anybody a Jackie Chan movie fan? He has a movie called Who Am I? And I wanted to play the scene, but it's really silly. He's standing on a tower and he goes, "Who am I?" And he holds the eye out for 9 minutes. And so this is a question that I think a lot of us have. Who am I? Now, Wayne, my name is Wayne Thomas Wagner, and I'm a golfer, not in any particular order, but this is who I am. I'm a golfer. I have been a husband for 22 years. I am a shoe lover. I love new shoes. In fact, you know what, never mind. I just like shoes. I've been collecting for quite a while. I am a guy who wants every part of his life and everything about who he is, I want to give all of that to Jesus. And so, who am I? I'm a guy who wants to serve the Lord. I want to give my marriage to the Lord. I want to give my family to the Lord. I want to give of my money to the Lord. I want to serve Jesus with everything that I am. On top of all of that stuff, I am an extrovert. An extrovert, okay? Now, last week I started a fight here between creationists and evolutionists, and so today I want to start another fight between introverts and extroverts. And in case you were unaware, I am a pretty extreme extrovert. I don't know if you knew that or not. I don't know how many introverts talk as much as I do, but I'm a pretty extreme extrovert. And so because I'm such an extreme extrovert, I don't really believe in introverts. To me, an introvert is like a made-up thing. It's like a made-up disease or made-up sickness. It's just not a real thing because I am so who I am, Now, obviously, that's not real. Introverts are real, and their needs are very real, and they have things that they have to do. But for me, as an extrovert, I constantly feel this need to be around other people. One of the absolute worst things in my life is solitude. Solitude is like my own personal hell. It is, and now for introverts, you're going, what is this guy talking about? What is this guy? Right? So, but for me, solitude is never something I have enjoyed. It has always been something that I have had to endure. It's not something that I want to be a part of. And so it's so bad that when I actually am alone, and in a family of 5, it's difficult to be alone. But when that rarely does happen, I will go to Walmart just to be around people, or just I'll turn on the TV or listen to music. And I've been known to even FaceTime people just so I don't feel alone in the room. I'm such an extrovert. Who's an extrovert? Who are my extroverts in the room? Wow, less than I thought. Who are the introverts in the room? The rest of you. Yeah. If you didn't raise your hand, you don't know. You need to do some research. Here's what I learned about introverts and extroverts. As extroverts, we are more likely to be manic, narcissistic, and become addicted to alcohol and illicit drugs as an extrovert. Doesn't get any better for you, introverts. As introverts, it seems there is a propensity towards becoming serial killers. Now, that has mostly been disproven. But I would say that if an introvert becomes a serial killer, it's probably because of an extrovert. It's probably But we are vastly different people in so many ways, but we are also similar in so many ways. We have so many similarities, we have so many differences, and all of those make up who we are. But I want to talk about one very common thread, regardless of whether or not you are an introvert or an extrovert, that knits us all together. And that thread is our need for community. Both personalities, introverts and extroverts, were created for community. Doesn't matter how different we are or how opposite we are in our introverts or extrovertism, we both have this need for community. And so that brings up the question to me, why? Why do we all have a need for community? So let's check out the Bible and see what that says. In Genesis chapter 1, God is speaking, and he says, "Let us make man in our image, in our likeness." Can you say that back to me? Say that with me. Let us make man in our image, in our likeness. Now, I'm not going to get too deep into the image and likeness thing, because our Core 52 book does that, and you'll receive an email. And if you're not on our email list, please stop by the Next Steps desk and get that. This is a thing that's going to be going through the entire year, and so you're going to want to stay caught up with that. But basically, image and likeness refers to the personality traits and the similarities that we have with God, such as love and honor and an appreciation of beauty, things like that. He explains it really well in the book, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to talk about an underlying thought from this passage, and it's this: God is in community with the Holy Spirit and Jesus. Father God lives in community. Therefore, we live in community because he created us. The need for community is stitched into us, and it is running through our personalities because it's one of the ingredients that God used to put us together. And so answering the origin story question, who am I, cannot be answered without first answering the question, who are we? We are the people that God created to be in community and to do life with each other. We were created to bring him praise, to do good works, and that is all under the umbrella of community. We were created for community. We were created for community with God. We were created for community with each other. Community has been defined as this. I think this is a cool definition: being involved in the mystery and mess of each other's lives. Now, I can feel the introverts going, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that at all. And I can feel the extroverts going, sounds good, let's do that. Let's rock that out. Let's get involved in somebody's life. Let's do something. I don't want to be alone. I can't be alone. I can't stay here alone. Let's go right now. So I see that, and I can feel that happening. But listen, we need to understand that community is part of our identity because it is what was used to stitch us together. God literally installed it into our DNA. Individualism is not part of our design. Individualism is a denial of our identity. It's a denial of our creation. And when we do life together in community, bless you, we understand that our world is so much bigger than just our world. We are not just individuals. Now this might be embarrassing, but I'll raise my hand. I don't care. Do you sometimes forget, I do, that there are people living in other countries doing things and stuff right now? Do you ever forget about that? Like, there's a whole world outside of this room. Now, this may sound a little bit weird, but I've been out of the country to 8 different places, and I've been to some of those places multiple times. And sometimes I forget that the friends I met in Afghanistan are having dinner right now, sitting around their table and their food on the floor, and they're grabbing it with their fingers and eating. I sometimes forget that they exist. I sometimes forget that there's people in Jamaica that go to a school that I was part of the building of. Like, I sometimes forget these things, and I think when we can remember, we can remember that we are part of a community and part of a world, our worldview, our picture gets so much bigger. These places and these people exist without us. At this exact moment in the Dominican Republic, on a hill in Palo Alto, a church is meeting that we help support. Like, they're there. Somebody is getting ready. I think they actually start at 10 o'clock, but if you've ever been to the Dominican Republic, 10 o'clock, 10:30, yeah, we'll start somewhere around there. Like, that's how they do. They don't have like a real start time. But somebody is praying right now over there. Somebody is praying for the people who will come to that church meeting. Somebody is getting their songs ready. Somebody is looking over their message for the last minute. And some mom in the Dominican Republic is feeding her kid in the parking lot, trying to hurry up and get them into the church. There is a whole world of people that exist without us. Our life is not the Truman Show. You guys seen the movie The Truman Show? Very relevant topic right now, The Truman Show. Brand new movie just came out. But I thought about The Truman Show. If you remember, the actors would stand in place until Truman was coming onto the scene, then all of a sudden they would snap into place. And I think sometimes if we get too involved in our individualism, that's what we imagine is going on in our world. Individualism is a denial of our identity, and it's a denial of other people in the world. The world does not wait to snap into place and start doing its acting and its role when we walk into the room. Why? Community. Even if people are not a part of a church, there's still a desire for community. We must deny radical individualism and understand that when we do that, we can love each other better, and we can serve each other better, and we can do more. I think one of the most interesting things about the Bible is how after 20-something years, I don't even know, 43 minus 15, what's that? 28. After 28 years of being a Christian, I can read the Bible and learn something new. Like, that doesn't happen with the Grapes of Wrath. Like, you don't read that and go, oh, there's a new insight for me. You know what I mean? And one of the things that is really kind of sticking to me lately, and sticking to me especially for this week, is this idea of having a personal relationship with Jesus. Has anybody ever been asked that question by some religious weirdo? Do you have a personal relationship with Jesus? Now, I understand what that means. It means, do you love him? Do you serve him? Have you given your life to him and all that? But I think a personal relationship with Jesus that statement is one of the most self-righteous and arrogant things that we can say. Because it is a denial of our identity, because it is a denial of how God created us. Nothing about our faith in Jesus is meant to be personal. Not one single thing, not one single time in the Bible are we told to have a personal relationship with Jesus. And somehow we've evolved into this in Christianity, where, I have a personal relationship with Jesus and my faith is my own, and I don't invite people to my church because that's my church. What a bunch of crap. We were made for community, not for individualism. And I get the idea, okay? You guys are tracking. I'm a little bit jaded on that, okay? You with me? Nobody's leaving? All right, good. Every single thing about our relationship with Jesus is meant to be communal. Love each other, serve each other, care for each other. That happens in a community. All of them have to be done in a community, not in isolation and not as individuals. How much stronger could we be and more able to withstand temptation if we had a community of people around us that would help us when we need help. This is exactly how Alcoholics Anonymous works. No doubt you've seen some of the news about an AA group that meets downtown. The rogue AA group that goes to extreme measures to keep people from falling back into alcoholism. And I go, yeah, that's exactly what they should be doing. Okay, I'm getting off track, but I'm going to say it anyway. Sometimes you need to get punched in the head. Okay? Sometimes you need to get smacked around. Sometimes you need to get slapped out of the thing that you're doing. I have often said, and I will say it again, that it is so much better for two people to go right out there in that parking lot and have a fist fight than to be backbiting each other with their words. Just go out there, just do a double knockout, and just fall down. Let's just call it a day. Let it be over. But in the AA group, they do extreme things so that those people don't fall back into that addiction. That is a community, and we were created for community. Look at this passage from Ecclesiastes chapter 4. It says, 2 are better than 1. I agree with the Bible. 2 are better than 1 because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. But pity anyone who falls and has no one to help them up. Also, if 2 lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? Though one may be overpowered, 2 can defend themselves. A cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken. This is about our need for each other. This is about our design to be in community with one another. Can you imagine what your life would be like and the life of this church and the life of the church worldwide? What that would look like if we realized that we were so much more powerful together. More powerful to overcome sin. More powerful to overcome struggle. More powerful to overcome anxiety. More powerful to overcome depression. More powerful to overcome pain. More powerful to overcome misery and defeat and loss and worry and fear and hopelessness. This does not happen in a vacuum. This happens when we are together in community. And all of those things quake and shudder and tremble under the weight of a church and people who are committed to the idea of living in the community that they were created to live in. We were created for community. And community means that I am not alone. Community means that I have friends. Community means that when life is rough and I'm tossed around, and life will be rough and you will be tossed around. Community means that there are people there to catch you. So what do you do about that? What do you do? Here's my suggestion. Shocker, it's food related. If you're not in community with somebody, or if you want to be in community with someone else, ask them to lunch. Ask them out to lunch. Why is everybody quiet on that? That's not shocking. That's not revelatory. It's food. Ask someone to go out to lunch. Tell them, I want to get to know you. I want to hear your story. I want to know your life. Now, you have to be careful not to be too creepy. Right? Talk in your normal voice. I want to get to know you. Like, don't do that. All right? Just be careful. Be careful with that. But getting to know people is important, and hearing their story is important. I want to tell you a few things that hearing someone's story helps you do. First thing is it helps you get personal with them. Now, for introverts, I can feel you going, hey, you're doing that. Okay. Deny the individualism. I understand introverts refuel differently than extroverts. I refuel on Sunday mornings. A lot of people are drained and exhausted after Sundays. But for me, I'm jacked up. I'm ready to go. But no matter if you identify as an introvert or an extrovert. We need to get personal with other people. We need to get over the idea of radical individualism. We need to realize that we are all inextricably linked to one another for this idea of community. Might it be awkward? Might it be awkward? Yes. But the reason why it would be awkward is because we've been discipled into believing a lie. That we don't need each other, that I am my own person, and I can do this all on my own. The Marlboro Man did us no favors for many reasons. And the Lone Ranger, which, by the way, the Lone Ranger, this is showing my age, is always pointed to as, he's a strong man, and he's did it on his own. That's a lie, too. The Lone Ranger had Tonto and Silver and his own horse. Like, he had friends. He had stuff that he was around. He was not alone. He was personal with them. So let us not believe the lie that we do not need other people. We were created for community. We were created to need other people. Hearing their story helps you get personal with them. It also helps you empathize with them. You get to know who they are. Where were they from? What is their life like before Jesus or now? Or what is their life like at all? And you'll probably find a connection with them and have a commonality with them that you would not have known about before. Hearing their story helps you get personal, helps you empathize, helps you understand them. You ever see somebody and you're like, why is that person the way they are? You might be like, every Sunday, dude. Like, we see you standing up there and want to know what your deal is. But getting personal with somebody will help you understand who they are. What is their story? How do your roads intersect? One of the coolest things in the world to me is, as a young person, thank you, going out to lunch with someone who is much older than me. That is a lot of fun to me. So I'm 43. Let's say I go out with somebody who is 86. They live twice as long as me. That means that so you think about your life and all of the paths and trails, and like your life has done this all over and over again. And then my life at 43 years has done this and this and that and all of a sudden. But now we've come to a table together. That is a beautiful, beautiful thing to think about. You know, some of you younger folk in here, you might be like, I'll go out with that old dude. And that's fine. You can pay anytime. But it helps us understand each other. Why do they struggle? Do we struggle the same? How can we help each other? How can we serve each other? Last thing is this. Hearing their story helps you to know them and be known. Knowing someone and being known by someone is extremely important because one of the best things it does is creates value. Creates value for them, creates value for you. Plus, you never know what could happen. Maybe something like this could happen.
Let's play it. On the count of 3, name your favorite dinosaur. Don't even think about it. Just name it. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Velociraptor.
What? Did we just become best friends? Yep. Do you want to go do karate in the garage?
Yup.
So, knowing and being known equals karate in the garage, all right? It helps you to know and to be known, and you might find a new best friend. And we all need that. We all need that. Regardless of if we're introvert or extrovert, because we were created for community, we need to know and we need to be known. So, how can I get involved in a community? You can, right now, today, you can go up to somebody after church and you can invite them out to lunch. Look around. So who has a cool hairstyle? You just go ask them, hey, your hair is dope. You want to go to lunch? I don't know. Whatever thing you want to say. I like your shoes, dude. Let's go shopping. Whatever it might be. Now, I'm telling you, if you do this, you might get rejected. You might get rejected. They might be like, hey, we got plans today. Can't do this. I don't know. Don't be asking my wife out to lunch. But it's worth it. What if because of our commonality and because of our need, there were people in here with some guts, not cowards, who found another couple in the church today, or found another single person in the church today, or found another whatever in the church today and said, hey, Pastor Wayne said we should go to lunch. You can blame it on me. I don't care. I'll pay for it. Out of your wallet. I don't mind at all. So you can get involved in a community. You can ask somebody out to lunch. You can totally do that today. Another way is to get involved here at LCC. Get involved here in this church. Start the process of meeting people. Beginning next Sunday, we start our equip sessions. There are 2 sessions next Sunday and then one on Monday. The parenting one, the starting point one, and the financial peace class. This is a place to start the process of building yourself into a community. Later on in the spring, we're going to have life groups, small groups of people that will meet in each other's homes. This is another step forward in furthering and developing ourselves as a community. You can serve, you can volunteer here at LCC. I'm wondering if there's anybody in the room who didn't know anybody, then started serving, and now you know people. Is there anybody in the room like that? Okay, okay, great. Thanks, bunch of you. So I'm making a plug. Start working for church. Like, it's a good thing. You're going to be able to do what Jesus wants you to do. You're going to be able to live into this community if you do that. We were created for community. Each of us individually were created for community, and we are part of that community. And so it's time for us to step into our function. We are people. So the question, right, is who are we, or who am I? I, you, we are people who were created by God to be in community. Today we're going to participate in communion, and we do this every single week. And one of the things that I think about is sometimes we think that God is this completely untouchable thing floating up in the ethos, and we can't have any contact with him or anything like that. But communion is nothing more than a celebration of Jesus coming from heaven to earth to be in community with all of us. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to switch this up a little bit today. Normally, I send you to the tables, you grab a cup, you take it at your leisure. But today what I want to do is I want to send you to the tables, and I want you to bring the cups back and wait. And once everybody gets seated, I want us to take communion together. Is that cool? Is that understood? All right. And so, Greg, can you bring me one when you go get yours? You're dismissed to get that. Come back to your seats with it, and we will participate in communion together.